Yes. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Man, we are back. We are back for another episode of On the Grind, Coach. I'm your man, Chris Allen, and it's an absolute honor, a privilege to be back here in this seat, sharing with you on this Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You know what we do. Coming back here every week doing the same thing, bringing you some of the brightest minds in the game, some of the brightest minds that are out here doing some amazing things. I'm excited to have this platform to bring on some people that I just admire, man. Folks that I just say, you know what, they doing their doggone thing. So it feels good to be here to put that list of guests together. Some of the people that I think that are just doing some amazing things. And tonight is no different. I've been waiting on this, man. Tonight we're gonna just chop it up. Me and this young lady right here, we go back. I mean, we're gonna talk about the story a little bit, probably since the beginning of the whole Facebook movement. You out here, you just connecting with people all over the world, as just doing some stuff, and you begin to connect. And tonight I'm just honored to have this young lady on the platform to kind of share her story. But listen out, welcome to another powerful episode, y'all. Another powerful episode of On the Grind. Like I said, when we bring you some of the greatest minds, some of the best mindset, movement, mission people on the front line doing some transformations. And tonight, we're diving into a story, y'all. I'm telling you, diving into a story that defines true resilience and purpose. True resilience and purpose. You get your pad, get your pens. Because our guest tonight, coach, trainer. She's just a Mississippi country girl, powerhouse spirit, and a healing mission that has changed thousands of lives. She's the founder and the CEO of iCHEAT Wellness, LLC, a holistic nutritional movement born out of her own personal journey, one that includes healing herself, paralysis, at the age of 21 years old. Man, we'll talk about that story tonight, y'all. This young lady has not only overcome adversity, she's turned her pain into purpose, helping over 3,000 individuals and families lose weight, reverse chronic conditions, and reclaim their health through natural, flavorful, and budget-friendly nutrition. With programs, coaching, live cooking demos, and her inspiring show, What's in Your Refrigerator, she's rewriting the script on wellness for underserved communities across Mississippi and beyond. So tonight, y'all, we're gonna sit down. The woman, not just talking about health, she's living it, breathing it, spreading it like it was wildfire. So tonight, you don't want to miss with this conversation. Tonight, I'm talking to a young lady who's gonna keep it raw, real, and transformational. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to help me to welcome to the show my friend, my colleague, a business partner. With so many things we can talk about. Miss Eutella Washington. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Welcome. Go ahead.
Yes,
you in the car.
I'm in the car. Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Let's go. Yeah.
We're gonna make this thing work tonight. We had, the devil was trying to be busy, trying to stop us from connecting, trying to make this thing happen. But we persevered. You made it happen. And look, here we are. So welcome to the show, girl.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Listen, I see you rocking your shades, you rocking your natural look, always doing your thing. Yes.
Yes.
I love it.
Hat cap today. Yeah, need a haircut under here and a little refresh, but we're gonna make it today.
We're gonna make it do what it do. Well, listen, Eutella, you and I, we've been rocking since I guess the onset of Facebook. Wasn't it? I think we probably met. Was it in the very beginning of Facebook or something like that?
Listen, Chris, I'm trying to see. Yeah, at the beginning of Facebook, and I'm trying to see were we really even doing anything on Facebook?
Sure.
Not much, but you was on the grind. You was doing a lot of things with the camera, putting a lot of people in front of the camera. So, was it Facebook, or we may tell our age a little bit? Or
we gonna answer. Listen, I'm okay. I'm okay with mine. Listen. I'm 54 years old. I'm good with. I think we met doing some. Was it artists? Was you involved in artists at the time or something like that?
Look at you taking it back. Yes, you know how you like to talk to the those multi-level marketing
Yes.
and so yes, you was on the grind and you were actually doing something similar to this. You was interviewing a lot of the first generation millionaires in network marketing. And back then it was the artists.
That's good stuff. Well, listen, I know you and I talk all the time, and we talk all the time. I know your story, and I think every time we talk, I get a little bit more pieces to the story. Go ahead and just take us back. I know we don't have to talk about the current stuff right now, but let's just kind of take us back to the beginning of Eutella Washington, where you grew up, family upbringing. Just take us back. Give us an overview.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. I like to say healthy, happy healing to all of you that are listening. Healthy, happy healing to you. I am Eutella Washington, and I like to say I'm the Mississippi girl in the Texas world. I grew up in a small town in Mississippi. I'm the youngest and only girl. I have 3 amazing brothers, and I'm a mom. I have a daughter that's at Jackson State in her junior year, and so I like to say I'm the city-fied country girl, right? And the journey for me to what you see today, what Chris met me as in health, wellness, fitness, nutrition, that's not where it started. I was a corporate girl. I was a federal HR girl. So I worked for the federal government for almost 13 years in human resources and public relations. You're looking, Chris, because I'm not sure if you know this part about me, right? So,
right. Yeah.
It's just the spirit of me, but I do know how to discipline myself and work in a different world. So so health, wellness, I was chosen for it. It wasn't something that I would say I was looking for. It was just something that was always with me. From high school, I was the girl bringing the fruits on the bus. I played basketball, I ran track, and I was always the one bringing the fruits and the healthy stuff for people to eat. I grew up, got in the corporate world. People wanted me to help them with their meal plans, or can you help me to work out? So everywhere I went, this thing with health and eating was like calling for me when I was like, I don't teach that, or that's not what I do, but I can help you. So as life continued, the more I was climbing the corporate ladder, I'll say that, the more the world of helping people to feel good and look good was getting stronger, right? It was just getting stronger everywhere that I went. And I just enjoyed it. I love it. It was something that came with a sense of ease, but it was a sense of joy. It didn't feel like work until I decided to take the leap of faith and walk away from my federal career. With most don't know this about my world, but I work for the people that make the money. The people that make the money, literally. So that was my last appointment. And when I took the leap of faith, because God was showing me that helping people to the best health and the best body was no longer something to do on the side, or no longer something that was just a hustle, right? It was something that was calling me and pulling me. So I like to say I answered the call and I lost it all.
You lost it all. I know we're going to talk a lot. We're going to talk a lot about where you are now, because your health journey is simply amazing. The things that you have in place are simply amazing. But let's talk a little bit about you as a child. Like, I know you say you was the girl who was bringing the fruits, but did you grow up in a household where health and wellness was a part of the routine? Or was this something that you found out on your own, that you was like, look, I need to do better. These ham hocks and collard greens ain't doing me no good. What was it?
Okay, I'm glad that you asked that, Chris, because being from Mississippi, a lot comes with that, with the soulful eating.
Yeah.
Everything was a reason to come together with food, right? Yeah. But the beautiful part for me, I grew up in the country. I grew up on the farm. So I grew up with what now we call organic foods, right? So I grew up with the pear trees, the peach trees, like right in the backyard. You can go out and grab you a peach and eat it right off the tree. I grew up seeing the collard greens grown right in the backyard where literally it was from farm to table, right? I saw, this may be a little bit graphic, but I was one that grew up where I literally saw the chickens and the pigs and all in that process when they were running around one day and the next day.
It was somebody plate.
You're reading the neck and they're in the skillet. So I grew up in that world. I grew up, and I was, even as a child, I was intrigued with like when we would pick the corn to shuck it, right? And then help my great grandparents to package it and store it, to peel the purple hull peas, right? Your thumbs are purple, and to package that and store it up for later, right? So the eating was good, right? I grew up, we had a lot of vegetables, we had the fruits, right? But here's the thing, when it came to how we prepared it is what changed, right? How we prepared it. I feel a lot of times we took a lot away of the nutritional value of the food. One, we cooked collard greens for 2-3 hours at time. And what we added to it, it was soulful, so we thought, yet it didn't work so well for the body the longer.
Nutritional value of it. You cooked all the nutrition out of it.
Take all the nutrition out of it, and then, you know, salt.
Yes.
You take like the part of, you know, the food, you know, the animals, and that already has a whole lot going on within itself. And the more that we added that to the vegetable, and then we add in more seasoning, that's where the soul comes in. So we think with flavoring. But I had kind of I won't say a balance, but a harmony with it, because my family, more than a lot of the salt seasoning, we just added even more of like the herbs and vegetables to things to flavor the food. So I won't say that it wasn't about it being all bad, but I know real food. I'll just say that. So because of where I grew up, we didn't have the fast food restaurants like right down the street. So if we went to McDonald's, it was like a treat. That may have been something we did every now and then, right? We didn't do a whole lot of like foods in the cans, in the bags. Most of the things was fresh. So the eating part, like I said, I know was a good foundation for me with what y'all see today, with how I teach nutrition and people how to make your food flavorful, but yet to get results. But what I had to experience was we were eating what we call a lot of vegetables and fruit, but what I saw on the table or the counter next to my great grandparents or my grandparents or the people in the neighborhood were these little bottles. They were brown with a white top. And it was 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 of them. And they was on the nightstand, and I saw them take them every night, open them up, pour out 1, 2 white, blue, or pink peel, and drink water behind it. So that was medicine.
What was the medicine? Just different stuff?
Here's what I'm saying. So I saw this religiously. This taking these little brown bottles with white tops with my great grandparents and, like I said, other people in the community, and it was like, I have to take my pills. And I saw this is as a little girl. So I saw them taking this medicine, these pills all the time, and I'm thinking, why? Well, as a kid, you don't hear and understand what high blood pressure is. You don't hear about diabetes, what that really means. It was called sugar.
Gotcha.
In my town, we call it sugar. Somebody has sugar, right? Nobody talked about obesity. We didn't hear words like obesity or overweight. We're from the South, so you thick in the thighs, and you curvy and wavy, right?
You think you good?
Yeah, like, so you fine if you got some meat on your bones, and if you don't, then something's wrong with you, right? Yeah. So I grew up in that type of environment, but the medicine is what I watched. I saw how they lived during the day, working hard, eating a lot of vegetables. Fruit is accessible. So but why were they sick? Why were they taking these pills every day? So then as I grew myself, here's a little bit about my story as far as the food. When food started to make me feel better, I struggle and I suffer with asthma, bronchitis. Am I still in the camera? Okay.
You are good. You're good. Yeah, I'll let you know.
Upper respiratory issues all the time, itchy eyes, allergies. And remember, I grew up in the South. I grew up in the country. And so outside was the thing. But a lot of times, this time of year, especially in the summertime, I had to make nature my friend because it wasn't. Because outside made me feel so bad that my parents or people that I was around, I was known as the child that they had to kind of watch, or she would get sick if she goes outside with fresh cut grass. If it was a certain time of the year, and I hated that because I loved outside. So I'm like, what is it about outside that makes me feel so bad? And what is it that when I come inside that I do and it makes me feel better? And I'm still here talking about it, y'all. It was food. So we wasn't calling it cayenne pepper back then, but I just knew when I felt bad outside and I would come into my great grandma's house or my aunt's house and they would make vegetable soup, I would always say, can you add some more of that red stuff in there and that black stuff? Well, I was a kid, but that back then that was black pepper and red pepper, which today we call cayenne pepper.
Right.
All I know is that when I ate that at a bowl of soup, I felt better. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't know what was happening. So I became the kid, even through my teenage years. My family would say she's only going to eat a hot and a cold salad. Like, I ate a lot of vegetables, but what they didn't understand, it made me feel better. And the more I ate those type of things, the less I had to use that asthma pump that made me feel horrible. That made me feel like I had a big red X on my face as the sick kid. And I just paid attention to the things that made me feel better, but I didn't understand it. And then, like the stuff.
How old were you at that time? How old were you at that time when you had that epiphany of something's in this thing is making me feel? How old were you?
At this time, I would say maybe around 9 or 10.
Wow.
And 9 or 10, and I was having this, and I'm gonna tell you, when the food helped, but I'm gonna tell you when I knew that the things that I were being told that were making me sick.
Right.
I'm like, well, how am I going to go through the rest of my life? I'm going to want to go outside and play. I'm going to want to run. But what I noticed was when I would take the pills or the asthma pump, which smelled like gas to me that we put in our car, I noticed one night my asthma attack got so strong, so bad. I was breathing so hard that literally my mom woke up because I was breathing so hard that the entire bed was kind of like shaking her and me up and down. I was breathing just as hard, like with the attack. And so they were rushing me to the emergency room, in the car. And here's another epiphany. I was just like, don't give me that thing. It's not helping. It was the asthma pump. And so they was like, but you gotta breathe. You gotta breathe. It was getting worse. So it was a bag because I thought I was about to, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a paper bag in the back of the car. And they was like, grab the bag if you feel like you gotta. Right. So I grabbed the bag. I know I'm going somewhere with this story, y'all. Hear me out. Hear me out. So I grabbed the paper bag and put my face over in it. And, I'm thinking I'm going to do this. But as I was doing this, I'm breathing so hard. So it's going in and out, in and out, and in and out, in and out. So guess what started to happen? My breathing slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
The more I blew into that bag, inhale to keep from.
Right.
My breathing slowed down. So the closer we got to the hospital, I was now feeling better. The attack was not as strong. What happened? What changed? So now, in today's world, when I teach you all about the breath of life and breathing, how important it is to just stop, inhale, blow out. So 9 to 10 years old, once I saw that happening, after that, I told my mom, I was like, can I just breathe in and out this bag when I feel like I'm, I'm having an attack and see what's happening. And I did that. I did that for a while. And I'm gonna tell you, Chris, that's been I don't have to tell my age, but that's been many years ago. But I haven't used the asthma pump, I know, since I was maybe around 11 years old.
Wow. And you diagnosed with asthma?
Oh, this was diagnosed. I'm talking about I was the girl and the kid that had the backpack armed and ready with multiple asthma pumps. I had the nebulizer. For those of you that are struggling with sinus issues, asthma, you know what I'm talking about when your kids are struggling with it. You had that where you had to put it in your nose. I was getting even young. This is what got me. I was doing stuff like the Zyrtec the nasal sprays. I was doing like the Decogen shots and things like that. So yeah. So by the time I was a teenager, like food, it just looked different for me. And most people didn't understand why I ate the way that I did. It was like, oh, she just eats so healthy. I really wanted to say, you can call it what you want. All I know is what I'm eating, it makes me feel better. And then I started to learn my culprits of what was causing the asthma. When I started, asthma wasn't as bad, but now I'm developing sinuses, really, really bad. And when I learned my culprits, Chris, and I'm gonna kind of keep this as sweet and short as you want me to, but when it comes to the food and me being a Southern girl, and cooking was something that was just in love. And in my family, we do it very, very well, and we love to feed people in the community. And so when I learned my culprits that made me feel bad, it's like, how can I still eat to feel good, show others how to do the same? One of my culprits with the sinus that I was having, asthma, I'll talk a little bit more. I won't talk too much, but I'll say as a teenage girl, I started having tenderness in, my female parts and things. And when I learned my culprit, Chris, today, when I talk and I teach about it, some fight me on it. Like, well, I can't give that up. It's like, well, if you don't want to give it up, how is it making you feel? And so one of my culprits, y'all, was dairy, cheese, cream. I was the cheese me please girl. Cheese, please.
You like that cheese? Got it.
So in the South, macaroni and cheese, and we made real deal, not that box stuff. You know what I mean? Like, we did the real deal cheese, and I was the girl. I'm country, so laugh at me if you want to, but I used to eat cheese and rice. Some people like butter with their rice or sugar. No. I was the cheese in my rice, and I could eat that every day. So I didn't understand me eating cheese or cheese on my sandwiches, cheese all the time, ice cream. Oh my gosh. Even homemade ice cream. All those things. But then I would notice I kept sinus infections. I kept nosebleeds. I kept I don't know how much we can really talk about on this show, Chris, but
let's talk. Yeah, let's get it.
I kept, for my ladies, or those of you that have teenage girls or young ladies, if you're noticing that their I called it the goddess flow, their cycle is out of whack or a lot of cramping, pay attention to their intake of milk products, dairy products, the cheese, the yogurt, these things, and how that affects our reproductive system, but also how I'm gonna use the word clog, our upper respiratory system, the nose, the eyes, right? Your ear. And so when I learned my culprit was dairy, you know how hard that was to say, I'm not doing it anymore. It wasn't about like, oh, I don't want to, it wasn't even about being healthy. I didn't like feeling bad. And so I just decide. So when I started paying attention to what was happening when I did the dairy, and I worked to start decreasing, like we'll try to find a substitute, right? Or we'll start. But when I realized, no, do you want to cheese me, please? Or do you want to continue to walk around and have to get shots like every 2 or 3 months, be on medication every day, and live like I'm just going to live with sinus issues and tenders in my breast and heavy cycles for the rest of my life. And I didn't want to live like that. So the cheese was not bigger than how I wanted to feel. So it wasn't about this all getting healthy in the beginning. I just wanted to feel good. I realized young, I did not like to feel bad, and I did not like to be in pain, and I didn't like to see other people in pain. And I realized between growing up as a teenager, seeing myself having to give my dad insulin shots in his stomach, that was painful for me to do as a teenager because he was diabetic. So why should I have to be giving my father shots in his stomach? I grew up with a mother that was an ultra sexy lady, right? So I saw her carry herself and carry the weight very well, but I also saw um, the woman behind the scenes that nobody saw and how they really felt when she was at home to see herself differently. So I saw the lady across the street that had the most beautiful garden, but I saw her fight cancer at least 3 or 4 times in my teenage years. And I said, well, what's the thing that we're all struggling with? Some type of sickness or ailment or pain, but we're all different. We're different ages, different walks of life, different, all different, but we got these sicknesses. So what do we do every day that we have in common? I was about 16, 17 years old, and this is who y'all see today. The only thing I could think of that we all did every day, yet we were so different, was eat. For me, the one thing that was affecting the lady with cancer health, my father that was diabetic, me with asthma and sinus issues, and the women around me that were carrying excessive weight, it was food.
Wow. Yeah. You've helped over 3,000 people, reverse chronic conditions, diabetes, you talked about that, hypertension, migraines. What do you believe is the number one thing that people are missing when it comes to healing?
The number one thing that people are missing when it comes to healing, I would say the first thing is to admit that they simply don't like the way that they feel most days.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Most of us are moving through our daily lives, and it's easy to say, oh, I feel good, or I'm doing okay, I'm great, right? I'm blessed, I'm highly favored. But the truth is, when you're alone and you sit with yourself, which most of us don't care to do, how do you really feel? And I've just watched it, Chris, just for years, and still see it now. People simply do not feel good, but they don't want to be honest with themselves about that.
Like you talk about, I think the first thing is got to be honest with yourself. It's about, like, do you like this feeling?
Yes.
Be honest with that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yes. So be honest.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Be honest with yourself with how you really feel. Because I'll hear people say things like, well, pain is a part of life. And I'm like, no, it doesn't have to be. Or I'm gonna die with something anyway. And it's like, well, you don't have to do it prematurely though, right? So really just being honest about how we really feel, because I like to say this, Chris, and then I'll let you ask your question. If we be honest with ourselves with how we really are feeling on the inside, with our thoughts, okay, that heart, that mental, that emotional, the stuff that we see in the physical, by the time it's come to the physical pain and problem, it was already happening inside. So man, we just got to be honest.
That's good. That's good. You talked about growing up on a farm. You talked about the fact that you like that cheese, you like that ice cream, a lot of these dairy products that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that dairy product. What's the impact of dairy have on our bodies? What's that impact?
I'll start here. More than dairy, because me being the country girl, I'm going to start with the source, because dairy is so broad, okay?
Yep.
You have to start for the people. Where does dairy come from?
Right.
Chris, where does dairy come from?
A couple different sources, right? We got one source, cow.
Hey, let's go.
Let's get it. Okay.
Okay, so dairy comes from a cow,
Yeah.
right? So if dairy comes from a cow, how does the cow produce dairy?
Don't know.
Okay, so let's see what dairy is. Tell me from your understanding. Give me 3 things that you consider dairy.
3 things I consider dairy. Of course, milk. Of course, milk, cheese, butter.
Milk, cheese, and butter.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the cheese and the butter, those are also byproducts of what?
The cheese and the butter. Milk.
Milk.
Got
So
it.
milk is the main source of dairy, and it comes from the cow, right? So how do I'm a country girl, so I know how we do it, but how would you think you get milk from the cow? I know that
I'm not a country dude, so I've seen the people. They got the cows, whatever. I guess it's the breast, and they squeeze the stuff trying to get the milk out. I guess that's how you're doing it.
Yes.
Yes.
So I like to start there because we can talk about dairy, but first you got to know the source. Where does dairy even come from, right? Have you even thought about the source? So how does dairy affect the body? In many ways, right? So let's take it to, we starting with milk, right? A lot of us that are moms, or those that desire to be moms, or those that have babies, what source of milk do we provide for our babies? You have a son, right?
I have 2 sons. Yeah, 2 sons.
You following me? Just flow with me for a minute, Chris, because ask me about dairy, okay?
Okay, let's
So
go.
where does the milk come from? From a mother for her baby.
Her breast.
Okay. Naturally.
Naturally.
Right? Yet a lot of times, as moms, we may choose not to give our milk, and we may go with another form of milk. And not just formula, but you could say formula, but a lot of those formulas contain milk.
Got it. Yeah.
And the form is dairy.
Mm.
From birth. I'm always going to start with the source and start from the beginning, because most of us that eat dairy is not because we just started eating dairy when we were grown. We were given dairy when we didn't have a choice. Early on. Mm-hmm. A lot of us, that was at birth, the first 5 to 6 years of our life, right? And then it grew from there. So what happens is it's now become a part of your system. It's now a part of your cellular energy. I'll say that, right? The body wants it, right? So how does that affect the body? Well, you got to think about it. If you have ever, even if you haven't seen it, I'm just going to say this. The milk is the source, right? But there's a process with the milk. When it comes through, there's this thing called it's in our bodies, but it's mucus.
There you go.
I know that's what you wanted me to get to, but you may not have wanted me to get there, but I'm going to get you to how we get to the mucus.
Let's get it.
Okay? So you have to know what the source is, and you have to know that most don't just start with dairy, but so with the mucus buildup. So as you consume your cheese, your ranch dressing, your ice cream, yogurt, whatever your choice is to choose, you got to think about it. The source of it, remember, is milk that comes from the cow. Okay? Mm-hmm. So as you take that in, now your human body has to process that. It has to recognize it for what it is, right? Anything that it doesn't want to digest and move through, it's going to get stuck like Chuck, stuck just like that cheese, right? To the lining of your body. It can get trapped in your sinus passages. right? It can start to build up mucus behind your eye. You start having pressure behind your eyes. You start noticing you may have starting having earaches, and you're wondering why. Well, the buildup of the mucus over years, over time, starts to cause inflammation in the body. Inflammation, that word right there. We hear it, but here's inflammation. This is how I'm going to paint the picture for inflammation. Inflammation in the body, let's just say when it's present, let's take a fire, light a candle. Y'all with me?
Right.
Light a candle, the flame is there, right? The candle is burning, and you like, okay, I need to put it out because this fire is getting hot. So you do nothing. So you eat more milk. Drink more milk, eat more cheese. Now the flame goes up. It's raising up higher, right? Now you got a sinus infection. Or my ladies, you're noticing that your cycle looks awful. Or you're noticing that you're in pain, all right? Or you're noticing that you are you're feeling completely low energy, or like feeling dehydrated, and you're wondering why. So now you don't do anything to change that. You continue to do more dairy. So now what you've done to that candle, you've now poured gas on it. What happens, Chris?
It's gonna get bigger.
Pour gas on the candle, it goes right. Now we get sick. Now you're sick. Now you have to go to the doctor. Now it's like, my head hurts, I'm congested, or I got the flu, or I have an upper respiratory infection, or I have a sinus infection. And so it's like, how did it become an infection? How did it go from inflammation to an infection?
Right.
You follow me, Fluent?
Follow you. Yeah. But I don't get it though. What, like, we've been taught for so long, milk does your body good. From a early on, we've been told, get you a glass of milk, drink that milk. That milk is going, it makes your body stronger, makes your bones better. We teach this, but not realize that on the back end of that milk is harming us.
It does your body good until you start having to now regularly go to the doctor once you get over the age of 30, and now you're wondering why the density in your bone is now breaking down. Or in our community, you start seeing more people having to have knee replacement, hip replacements, right? The bones are deteriorating. You're starting to notice that more people in our community are struggling with low vitamin D levels, right? How is that when milk does the body good and it's loaded with what? Vitamin?
Right, vitamin D, right.
That's what we were taught, right?
That's what we taught, right.
And so you will watch, more than likely, almost 8 out of 10 people that you come in contact with today, they're telling you that they are struggling with their vitamin D level. But yet a lot of them drink or consume some form of milk or dairy product on a weekly.
And grew up with it.
And they grew up with it. So if milk really does the body good, and I'm not saying for those that feel that it does, if it works for you, it works for you. But for those of you that you're noticing that your body is not doing good, and the more of the dairy you're consuming, then start decreasing it. I don't just stop it, because it's not just easy to stop it. Just start decreasing it. I say decrease to eliminate.
Is there a healthy alternative that you would suggest if it ain't the milk? What's a healthy alternative that you like? It's gonna get you the same feel, flavor, whatever, but you're not gonna have the side effects that milk is gonna give you. Is there something that we can have?
Well, I think the thing is, before we start looking for a substitute, really ask yourself, what is it that's drawing you to want that particular food?
I mean, you gotta have your cereal. Gotta have your cereal. So what you gonna eat your cereal with? You got to.
Okay, well, if you just gotta have your cereal, then just eat the cereal.
You got to tip that bowl back. You got to be, sometimes you want to have that childlike memory where you tip that bowl back. You know what I'm saying? So you can't have that with no water. How about goat? Is there something? Can you get like coconut? Is it coconut milk? Can you get all these different types like that? What's going on with those?
Well, the truth is, how about we just change what we drink, right? I know where you're going with this, Chris, but yes, if milk is just your thing and you just have to have milk, there are other foods that produce a milk. Coconut is one, right? The almond is one that you can process that nut in a certain way, and it produces a milk that you can consume. So
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
you get what I'm saying? But I
Yes.
like to give people the root of things, Chris, versus just saying do a coconut milk, almond milk. I like for people to know the source of what they're drinking, right?
Sure.
So yes, and then you can take oats. Oats can make a milk.
Somebody said that. Crystal Minstrel said oat milk. Oat milk.
Yes, oat milk. You can do
Mm-hmm.
oat, right? But remember where oat milk comes from. Same thing with the coconut or almond. You got goat milk. You got different forms of milk. So you just got to ask yourself, what is it that you are really looking for with your food source,
Mm-hmm.
and what is it really doing for you? Because I'm not really quick to tell people, oh, you shouldn't eat this, you shouldn't eat that, what's good, what's bad for you. But what is attracting you to want to eat the type of foods you're eating anyway?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love it. Listen, so let's talk. You talk about authentic soul health. You talked about that before. Authentic soul health. So let me ask you, when you hear the phrase authentic soul health, what comes to your mind? And the second part of that question, how do you know when you're really living in that place?
Okay, first question. How do you know, or what is
What is that for you? Mm-hmm.
authentic soul health?
Yeah.
SOL, that authentic soul health. That authentic soul health is that health that when you really are alone and you're quiet, nobody else is around to really judge you. It's just you and whoever you believe in bigger than you, and how you really want to feel, how you really see yourself. Do you look like that with your health? Not what the world wants you to be or what um someone told you you should be, but how does that really look for you? Because a lot of us on the inside, what we think to ourselves and what we see on the outside looks completely different. But are you
Yeah.
moving in there authentically with, like, if you know that you're one that um the foods that you're consuming, and when you look at yourself naked, it's not about you telling anybody that, oh, I just love the way I look, I'm good with me, or I'm beautiful as is. But when you really look at yourself naked, you don't like that person. So if you say, I'm not going to give up eating my french fries, I'm not going to give up eating my fried chicken, well, you wearing that. Is that your authentic soul saying you like that look, you like that feel,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
it's not, nobody got to tell you um you need to go on a diet or lose weight, because your soul is already speaking to you. It's saying either Chris, man, when you look at me without your clothes on, you don't like when you turn to the left and look at me in the mirror. You don't like that. And you're like, well, I'm going to eat this anyway. Or your soul is always talking to you about how you want to move in the world, like how you really want to show up,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's always
Mm-hmm.
talking to you. So when I say your authentic soul health, that's also the soul of your mind, right? How you
Mm-hmm.
really think about yourself, and what are you doing to feed that, and what are you allowing it to be fed,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Good. Then how do you know when you're really living in that place? How do you know?
The only way you know is really, the first step is to just look in the mirror. This is a simple step. It's to look
Mm-hmm.
in the mirror and ask yourself, do you like yourself?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even say love.
That's good. Can you turn on the inside light on your car? Is
Gosh.
that possible or no? Because you're getting darker. It's getting light. It's getting dark outside now.
Here we go.
Is that okay? That's good.
I told you this is, you're the coach on the grind. I'm the coach in motion. So
We are on the grind, baby. That's on the grind is just out here making things happen. Things don't always line up perfectly.
oh
But can you put yourself in position to keep on moving? That's what this show's all about.
yeah,
Keep
that's
moving.
the authentic soul. And my authentic soul health is just this, is that, what just happened, like from night to day, like what my soul is saying. Because if I were to really talk about why I'm even doing this in the car and what's going on, is what we're talking about. It's about
Yes.
health and death. I'm
I love
sitting
it.
right now as we speak. And so that authentic soul, it talks you and it tells you how it really wants to feel, how it wants to look, and how it wants to show up for the world. That's why I said you got to be honest with yourself. So what was that second part of the question?
So how do you know when you're really living in that place? How do you really know when you're living in that place?
Two things. First thing is you're really gonna feel it. Like nobody can really tell you what that feels like. You're just gonna know it, and when you see it, like your confidence just changes. It's like you may not have arrived to where you think you're ultimately want to be, but you're so much stronger in it that it's like this is just the way that I live versus this is something a goal I'm trying to reach. Right? You're no longer trying to reach a goal. You're no longer like, okay, I gotta lose 30 pounds in 2 months, right? Or I gotta work out 5 days a week, to build some consistency. You start to just move like working out is just who I am. You start to know that regardless of what's going on around you with food, temptations are just what they are, but you're not going to cheat yourself out of good health just for a good time. No, you start to speak differently about you and others, right? So you're seeking good health, right? For yourself and for others.
That's good. That's good. What's the first thing that someone can do to really start hearing their soul's voice again? That whisper that's like deep down inside. Like, how do you drown out the noise of life to really begin to listen to that soul's voice?
Okay, the first thing that came to my mind, most of your viewers may be like, what? I'm not doing that. Yet, if you did, I'm going to start you with 2 places. Water. And let me say that because we can easily say, quiet your mind, meditate. True. Right. If you know what that feels like and look like it for you. But a simple way to start that before you even realize what meditation is and to silence yourself is to just be quiet. Simple thing. Thank you for the light. That's my uncle in front.
I love it.
Put your hands over your ears. Watch this, Chris. Come on, do it with me. And call your name.
Chris.
Go again.
Chris.
And be quiet for 3 seconds. All right. Take your hands off. What changed?
Nothing.
Nothing. Watch this. Next thing is, if you get in the shower, Chris, and you say nothing, play no music or anything, let the water just run on you, cover your ears. Watch what happens. But if you want to hear your inner, what I call your inner soul without any noise, and I don't know if the person can do it, but this is one of the ways I've experienced to hear it the closest. And this is what made me say, man, is this what it was like when I was in my mother's womb? Is when you lay in a tub or a pool of water and your head is immersed under the water and only the tip of your nose is out. You can hear every beat in your body.
Yes, you can. Yes.
You understand? So you know what I'm talking about. That's one way in the physical that I've experienced where I can really hear my soul. It's almost scary, but it's like something is inside of me and it's happening. It's doing a whole lot of talking, a whole lot of communication, and I'm not talking. Nobody else is around me. So those are a couple of ways, right? And so the other thing is, if you really want to hear your soul talking to you, get in one of the smallest places. And for a lot of people, that can be your closet. This is what I teach some of my clients. Get in the closet, turn off the lights, get in the farthest corner of your closet. If you can sit in a chair, or if you stand, or if you want to cross your legs on the floor, or if you want to lay back on your back or on your belly. But turn the lights off in your closet, close the door, and just be quiet. And see if you can stay in there for at least 8 to 10 minutes without moving.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Here's a fun one. You talk about wearing the food that you wear, confidence. We talked about that, right? So my question to you would be, hold on one second. So my question to you, what does that look like? How do you know what food, you talk about the foods with confidence. I was reading something you were talking about that. The food you wear with confidence. If your confidence was an outfit, what food would be stitched into the fabric of that outfit?
Okay, my daughter is probably gonna scream when she hear me say these things. She's like, "Mama." So, Chris, this is the raw part of Coach Eutella. Okay, so when I say, can you wear your food confidently, right?
Right.
So when you put on, Chris, when you put on one of your suits or when you put on your workout clothes, because you like to work out, right?
Right.
So for the men and for the ladies, we know what we look like when we put on certain things, right? So my daughter's gonna say, I was like, listen, it's cool if you eat the cow, if you eat the pig, if you eat the chicken, if you eat the turkey, whichever one you eat, whichever one you love. So here's a visual, Chris. You want to flow with me a little bit?
Let's flow.
All right. So when someone says to me, well, I love my steak, I got to eat my steak. And then if I look at them and I say, well, what's the shape of a cow? This is what my daughter say, Mom. So I'm like, well, so if that's the look that you like to look confidently, then I continue to eat your steak. We are what we eat.
Mm.
And not just what we eat, but also what we eat affects how we think.
Uh-huh.
Right? So I don't know. Maybe eating the cow make you think big thoughts. I'm not sure. But pay attention to it. So if you look at the shake-up of a pig, the more of that particular type of food that you eat, ask yourself, am I confidently wearing that look in my clothes?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you're a fish, are you confidently wearing that look more in your clothes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your food is your confidence. And I think if more of us open up to think about that with how we're really feeling about our self-love, our self-care, our self-awareness, and how food really is vital in that process, we would choose differently.
Mm-hmm. It's a mindset. It's a mindset shift.
It's
Definitely a mindset shift.
for sure. It's for sure a mindset. It's a mindset, but the first thing in the mind, Chris, the first three letters of mind is what?
Of mind, in my end.
So take a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
take a minute and look at yourself and ask yourself, for everybody in your audience, just take 1 minute, take 60 seconds, set your timer for 60 seconds. Get in the longest mirror that you have in your house that show a full body mirror, and take off all of your clothes and set the timer for 60 seconds. Front view, side view, back view. Chris, you like that because you train people in your classes, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Do that for 60 seconds naked and ask yourself, do I look like what I eat?
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's simple.
Do I look like what I eat? Yes. Crystal says, so you are what you eat. That's what Crystal says. Yes, you are what you eat. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me ask you, okay, so listen. So how do we figure, here's a good one. How do we figure out which foods are actually energizing us as opposed to the foods that's just getting us by?
Before I say what food energizes us, you got to ask yourself, how are you energizing your food?
Mm.
What energy are you carrying or are you portraying to the world when you choose your food?
Expound upon that. Break that down.
I will. Okay. There are many foods that can give you energy,
Sure.
right? But the truth is, if you eat food that just give you energy, but all of your thoughts about yourself or your life or your circumstances are low, I don't care what you eat. It's still going to remain low, right? But if we want to take it to physical, just some instant things that help boost the energy, energy goes up when we see light,
Mm-hmm.
light colors. So if your mood is light, you're like, my energy is low. So what would raise that? Think of lighter colors. That would be like your lemons. This is where I take people: lemons, oranges, grapefruit, right? Bananas, if that's your thing. These are natural energizing type of foods, okay? If you want to get a little bit more exotic, like your papayas, okay? Just depends on what part of the world you in, dragon fruit, things of that nature, right? So you got to think about the brighter colors and think about more than energy. Think about if your energy is low, more than likely it's because you're dehydrated. So when you think of foods for low energy, think about how can I increase my hydration? And sometimes that's not just water. Water can help, right? But you want to do some foods that are high water content. Let me give y'all some. So that's like your cucumbers, right? Your grapes. These are just some basics. So when you're talking about low energy, the first thing is to think about the color and think about hydration if you're trying to get it up. But let me add something to that. Before you think about what can I do to get my energy up, look at the foods that are lowering your energy. Let's talk about that. Chris, as you know, the fitness expert, tell me 3 foods that when you see your clients, you know, when they come in here talking about their energy is low, give me at least 3 things that you believe that they are eating on a weekly basis.
When their energy is low?
Yes.
A lot of carbs. A lot of carbs.
But let's break down carbs because carbs is so broad. But give me 3 types of carbs that you know they're more likely doing on a weekly basis.
The rices.
Okay.
Rice, breads, potatoes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we start there, instead of thinking about what can I do to increase my energy, I like to tell everybody, well, first let's look at what's making it low in the first place. So if you know that rice, potatoes, and bread lowers the energy, start decreasing the rice, the bread, and the potatoes, and your energy will start to go up.
Right. Real quick, the question is, how do you choose the foods? How do you choose your foods? Another question was, how do you feel about caffeine? And then the other question was, how do you feel about energy drinks? You can hit all 3.
Okay, how do you choose your foods? Here's the thing. I say choose your foods off. Here's one exercise I do with my client. Choose your foods based off of your energy. So Chris, let's do this together. You ready? All right, Chris, if you could tell me in one word, where are you within? In one word, if you could say this is where I am that nobody else knows, it's just me and God. But now my audience is about to know. In one word, if I say, Chris, where are you on the inside? In one word, not 10, just one word. This is my one word where I am inside.
Well, you want a number?
I want a word. What's one word? If you could describe Chris on the inside right now in one word, what would it be?
Authentic.
Okay, authentic. All right. So you want to remain authentic because usually I say if you want to go from authentic to where?
I want to go from authentic to. That's a great question. I'm gonna come back to that one. That's a good question.
But this is how I'm gonna help you build your food. Okay, so we'll stay with authentic. So if authentic is word, give me one food that you know makes you feel absolutely amazing and you look amazing when you eat it that starts with an A. That starts
food as it begins with an A? That's an A?
Yeah, because I'm going with the A with authentic. Okay. It makes you feel amazing, and when you eat it, you know it's gonna help you look amazing. And
I like apples. I like apples.
All right. So apples, okay? And so how often would you want to eat an apple?
Apple a day.
An apple a day. So apple a day, start there. So your first thing that you're going to start to build your food with for the week for your meal planning, you know you're going to have an apple every day, okay? Chris, what kind?
No, I'm listening to you. Listening to you. Go ahead.
Okay, so then now we're building your food list, right? I build food off of your personality and your energy because it's easy for me to build one for you and say, do this. That's cool. I do that as well, but I'm gonna build yours just right here in front of your audience off of your energy, your personality, right? And how you think about yourself, about your health and your body, how you want to look, how you want to feel, and how you want to show up to the world. Okay. Next thing is, Chris, do you enjoy working out?
Absolutely.
All right. So what's the one food that you know that if you eat it, 3 days out the week, it's going to prevent you from working out effectively.
It's going to prevent me from working out effectively?
Yes.
Those rices, the carbs, like we talked about.
Okay, so just pick one of the carbs for me.
Breads.
Okay, so now you know that bread is going to not give you the results that you desire, right? But you're not ready to totally give it up, right? So then you say, Chris, you're gonna have an apple, and then give me one type of bread that you like to have.
That I would like to have?
Yes, that you like. Like, I like this type of bread. Is it
garlic bread? Garlic bread.
All right. So then you simply say, I'm gonna do garlic bread. I'm gonna have an apple. This gonna build your plan for the week, right? And so garlic bread, when you eat it, you're now, how many days do you want to look good and feel good?
Every day.
So then just do garlic bread once a week. Okay. Mm-hmm. Next thing is, Chris, give me one food that makes your heart feel good. It makes you think about the love of your life. The color of it feels good to you, looks good to you. Give me a food that starts with the letter L. I'm going to make you and your audience think tonight. I'm going to work with y'all tonight.
A food that begins with the letter L.
That makes you think about the love of your life, thinks about love, think about the good thing that feel good, smell good, sounds good.
You got to understand. I'm going to say this. You got to understand. I'm probably the wrong person because I don't have an affinity with food like that. So, yeah, you know.
Not food. It's the feeling of love. And all I asked you was to give me was one food that starts with the letter L.
That starts with the letter L. I don't know. What? I feel like I'm in the hot seat. What's the letter L? I don't know what.
It could be something as simple as lettuce.
Okay, lettuce. Okay, that's a food. Okay, got it. Okay, lettuce.
Right? Where I'm going with this for Chris in the audience, I'm having Chris to think.
Somebody said lima beans.
Okay, lima beans. That's good, right? But I'm having you all to think about what you eat and how you decide what you're going to eat for the week or for the day or why you're choosing that particular food, right? Mm-hmm. So Chris, I already know Chris will eat apple, he will eat lettuce, and he will eat garlic bread, right? If this is not something I got to try to force on him or make him feel like he's on a diet or he's feeling so restricted. No, this is stuff he already said that he enjoys eating and will eat for the type of results he wants, right? So let's do this. I'm always going to start with the mind, the heart, and the gut. So Chris, tell me one food that you know when you eat it, it makes your stomach big and you know it.
You feel bloated. Ice cream.
All right. So how often do you want your stomach to be bloated?
I don't.
So then how often are you going to eat ice cream for the next 7 days?
It's good. I'll probably have it once. I'll probably just do it once.
Okay. And so here's how I want us to start thinking. Chris said I'll do it 1 day a week. So that 1 day a week you eat ice cream. If your stomach gets bloated, are you going to carry the guilt or are you going to say, I knew that this was going to happen.
I knew that this was going to happen.
All right. And so you
I'm going to stay at home that day. I'm going to stay at home that day. I promise you.
Right. So think about the days where you eat ice cream 7 days a week and you look at your stomach. How do you feel and how do you look?
Right. You're going to look bloated.
So more than thinking about how to build a food plan, think about why you want the type of foods that you desire. And also think about how you want to feel and how you want to look, right? So it's not hard. I won't say it's not hard to get results, but first you got to know what type of results do you want? Like clearly. Because the food can be built easy once you decide what type of results that you want and what you're not thinking you got to limit yourself from, but what you're already doing that's not giving you the look and feel that you desire, and start there and watch what happens. What was the other? Yeah.
That's good. You talked about draining what you love. Draining what you love. Is there anything or anyone that you could be loving on that might actually be draining you from behind the scenes? I mean, something that looks good, but it's quietly just killing you or pulling your power away. Talk about that.
Well, draining. Oh, you say draining. from what you love.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, the first thing that came, I'm not, how open can I be? How raw?
Very transparent, open. This
The first thing that came to my mind that can be draining, and this is for those that are active in this thing, is sexual healing. Asking yourself when it comes to, when you decide to have sex with someone, more than what you're going to feel or receive, what are you giving up? What is pulling you more than what it's giving you? Have you thought about that ever, Chris?
That's good. That's good. Yes.
What's right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing I would say for those that are active in sex. How much of you are you giving out as you're receiving in? That's probably really, I'm gonna watch my language, effing with your mind and your body. The other thing, what's draining you that you may love? What is it with your, like for those of us that have kids, you love your kids, you may love putting them in these different activities, but it's draining you to show up at every single game, every single practice, everything they got going on, but you're really draining your love for you, because the truth is you probably really want to go take a class, or you probably really want to go to just say a networking event. You want to do these things for yourself, but what you love so much for of others is draining you on the inside, because there's nothing feeding you with the things that you truly desire, right? So we all have to look at how our your environment is your energy, y'all. Your environment is your energy. And most of us, our immediate environment is our home, our kids, our significant other, our co-workers, right? So you just really have to think, am I draining for love, yet nobody is really feeding me my love language?
That's good. That's good. Mm-hmm.
They say they love me, but yet the truth is they're not loving me through my language.
Right.
And I'm not bold enough to tell them how.
Mm-hmm.
That's draining as F, y'all.
Right.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, that does. It's like, man, listen, there's so many different ways we can talk, man. I cannot believe we are an hour in this conversation. I feel like we just touched the top of it. Like, there's so many different directions that we could go. We gotta do it. We gotta do another episode. We gotta do another show.
For sure.
We can do another show. Because there's so many things that we talked about tonight that we could just unpack. Even on your own journeys. My last and final question, even on your own journey of discovering, this health and wellness journey that you've been on, when did it, we have this world where it's like a one size fits all. It's like a one size fits all type of program. But tell me, how have you defined health for yourself in a way that actually feels true and authentic to Eutella Washington?
When I decided that I'm gonna bet on me, and I mean truly bet on me, and when I decided I never want to, let me take this off. I never want to knowingly lose my health and then take everything that I got and everything that's in me to try to chase it back.
That's good. Right.
It's once you lose your health, it's hard to chase it back, because that's what you're doing. You're gonna chase it, right?
Try to get it back to where it's supposed to be.
it'll never get back to what it's supposed to be, because the truth is most of us are not clear on what it even supposed to look like and feel like in the first place, because we're moving so fast most of the time and we're not conscious of we really only have one place to live, and that's the body. So we're really thinking we're outrunning the body when it's saying, hey, you just need to slow down, tap into me every day and see where you really are before I leave you. And once the body escapes you, now the soul is talking louder. Did you hear how I said that? Once the body starts to escape you, now the soul is talking louder. And we can take that into life and death. See, once the physical body is no longer, it's ash to ash, dust to dust, the soul is still moving on and living on. But a lot of us have been walking dead with our health, yet we're still like we're living a fabulous life.
That's good. That's good. Talk real quick about, I know you got a couple of different shows that you got out right now. Talk about the different shows that you have.
Well, let's say, before we say shows, because I feel like I'm always putting on. Right, because everywhere I go, it's a show, right?
Right.
When I'm here home, when I'm working with clients, or when I'm doing it in the community, I have one that I say, what's in your refrigerator?
What's in your refrigerator?
What's in your refrigerator? So I know I talked to you about that. What's in your refrigerator? Because, before you start renovating your house, or you're trying to, up your bank account, or, you're trying to find love, the first thing that you may want to start with is opening up your refrigerator. Your refrigerator says a lot about your personality, about your style, about your health, and about your body. Just open it up. If you open up your refrigerator, your refrigerator tells you your current health for the most part. So I like to start there. And then the next place is, I like to say, when you want to see where your emotions are, and if you're feeling like you're really sad, you're low, you're down, or whatever your emotions is, whichever one you want to play on. When I say this kitchen thing, I call it chemistry kitchen for a reason. So then now go to your pantry or your cabinets, open them up. That's you, or your kids, or your significant other. So if you're looking and you don't like how your kids are behaving, or you don't like how your significant other is looking,
it's in the cabinet.
It's in the cabinet in the pantry.
So you dating somebody, first thing you gonna go to is you gonna go to their pantry, they see what's happening with them. Is that what you're doing?
No. Just because I'm the health girl and the wellness girl, I am not the girl that wants to try to adjust a guy because he's interested in me, or to date him on his food. That is not what parents go to. So, because how you eat, all I can tell you, if you decide that it goes further, I let you do what you
okay.
How you live. I don't try to adjust that, but all I can tell you is that what you're not going to do either is try to change the way that I think about how I like to feel, right? So I don't try to convert nobody over, because if you're around me long enough, and if I'm really hurt for you, some things are just gonna be anyway, because it's gonna feel a way when every time you come around, you're like, you really live like this. This really happens, Chris. You really live like this. You really eat like this. Like, yeah, I wake up in the morning and I eat probably 80-90% of my foods on a weekly basis raw. So I'm not a foodie. If you are, that's fine. But after a while, you're gonna be like, man, maybe I need to try that. So now I don't try to adjust them, Chris.
That's good. Man. Well, listen, absolutely amazing show. I had an absolutely amazing time. You was raw. You came with it. We have to do another show. Maybe we can do an episode of, what's in your refrigerator. You can kind of break the foods down on camera, what the food look like, raw versus cooked, what you're supposed to be getting versus what you're not supposed to be eating. Maybe we can do a whole show like that. Because I think that nutrition is it's the biggest part of any workout plan that I've ever had. People come to me and they want to work out, they want to get in that gym, and they're not getting the results that they want. Only thing I have to say is it's evident what you eat. It's all in the food that you're eating. It's that 80%. We get in this gym. This is only 20%. You got to handle that 80%, which is what you're going to put in your mouth on a consistent basis. Period.
If you don't nurture the nerves, girls, forget the curves, okay? Right? And guys, oh, Chris, I was about to be a little bit too raw. I was about to tell them guys, look, if you don't clear out your gut, it will affect your.
Okay, I think they got the point. I think they got it. I think they got it. Listen, real quick, go ahead, tell the people a little bit. No, first off, I'm gonna let you have the final the previous words. Go ahead and share it with the people. Anything that's on your heart, anything they can walk away with that's going to help them on this health and wellness journey. So the floor is yours.
Okay, well, ladies, gentlemen, all of you, first of all, shout out to Chris for what he's doing. I called him on the grind, the number one on the grind coach. So Chris, I'm just grateful for you inviting me, and you know how I feel. I love to see you work. I love to see you in your element, and this is it. So that's the first thing. And so I want to say healthy, happy, healing to you always. That's what I want to say to your audience. And in that order, y'all, health, happiness, and decide what healing looks like for you. And the other things, you hear the name iCHEAT Wellness. That's an acronym. It's I choose healthy eating above temptations. So the acronym CHEAT, CHEAT, choose healthy eating above temptations. Because the temptations are going to always be there, but you have to decide not to lose your health just because of the temptations. So that's what I would leave y'all with, and just say, love yourself, respect yourself, and forgive yourself.
Awesome. How can they get in contact with you? Anybody want to get in contact with you? How can they reach out to your Facebook, YouTube, Instagram?
Facebook, I have a presence there. So Facebook is Eutella Washington. My name starts with an E, Eutella, Eutella Washington on Facebook. And I am Eutella on Instagram.
I think we just put it up there for you. We got it actually in the actual feed up there. So they want to, they can actually click on that. So Miss Washington, listen, I absolutely appreciate you joining me on the show tonight. You came with it. We definitely going to run it back. We're going to run it back, and we're going to do another episode, because I mean, we didn't get to nearly all the stuff that I want to talk to you about, but we want to be respectful of your time and your energy and all that kind of stuff. So I really appreciate you joining me on the show tonight. If there's anything I can do for you, as always, I'm only a phone call away. You can pick up the phone, call me. I'm right there. I got you. All right. All right. So good stuff. I appreciate you. As always, ladies and gentlemen, you can always come back here each and every week. And, we're going to be bringing you some of the brightest minds in the game. Out here. That's going to be talking about some cool stuff. And, I got my book out there. So I want you guys to make sure that you go out there and check out my book. It's Time to Shift. Hold on one second. It should be popping up real soon right there. Oh, it's Time to Shift. Let's see if I can find it right here for you. There it is. It's Time to Shift. Right there. It's available on Amazon.com. Right there. Available right there on Amazon.com. It's a program. It's a book that I wrote during some hard times in life. You got to be able to shift. You got to be able to pivot and make some things happen. All right. So go out there and check out my book. It's Time to Shift. Also, I think go check me out on my YouTube. Where my YouTube stuff at? Go check me out on my YouTube. There it is. Go like my stuff. Go like the video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at On the Grind Coach. At On the Grind Coach. There it is. Also, some people talked about my Cash App. What's your Cash App? What's your Cash App? I want to put something in your Cash App. If you want to put something in the Cash App, there it is right there. It's $. What is it? $, On the Grind Coach, $, On the Grind Coach. So, man, absolutely amazing show tonight. I'm so very excited about what's going on. And, we going to come back next week. Got some more stuff for you. And each and every week, we're going to bring you some real people that's doing some amazing things out there, sharing their stories, sharing their tips to help you get to your next level. All right? So listen, I want you guys to have an amazing week, amazing rest of the week. And as as always, don't talk about it, be about it. I'm out. Peace.